It's the end of another year, and time for me to start a brand new bullet journal. Grab a warm drink, a blanket, and snuggle up with me while I get it set up. Before I even put pen to paper in my new book, I want to make a mind map to decide what my planning goals are and how I want to organize my bullet journal. I use my bullet journal as a planner and a traditional journal, as well as an info dump where I keep a record of lists, thoughts, and research. Bullet journaling is perfect for me because it encourages me to write everything down in one book. That way I'm not trying to organize myself across multiple places. I have 4 main areas that I plan in: monthly planning, weekly planning, daily planning, and tracking. Now I'm writing down how I use those types of planning, everything from work meetings and schedules to to-do lists, journal entries, tracking my health, and important dates. As I write out what I'm going to be using each of these forms of planning for, I'm thinking about how they connect and their purpose. I've decided that my monthly planning will be separate from everything else, as I used it to plan forward in time. Weekly and daily planning I'll put closer together to keep myself on track and document daily events. Tracking I'll use at the beginning of every month as a page I flip back to throughout the day. I'm using a dot grid hardcover journal that I bought online. At its core, bullet journaling only requires a notebook and a pencil or pen. I find it helpful to include some other tools like colorful markers, highlighters, different types of pens, a ruler, and sometimes some scissors. I always start each book by numbering all of the pages in the bottom corners and drawing in my index on the first page. In the index, I'll write out the page range for each month, as well as any important spreads or lists that happen throughout the book. This helps if I need to reference back to anything. Once I know what pages I want to put in my bullet journal, I'm ready to start drawing them into my book. I write the headers on Post-it notes and start placing them on different pages in the book. This gives me an idea on how they will interact with one another before I even put pencil to page. I can move them around and try different combos to see what I like best. This also helps me decide which pages I want to be on a single page and which pages I want to be 2-page spreads. Once you're happy with how the pages are organized, you can start writing in your headers or title pages. Next, I draw in my year at a glance, which is useful as a reference to look back to throughout the year. Next, I draw in my yearly spreads, my year in pixels, bill tracker, goals page, and my future log. The year in pixels takes mood data that I gather throughout the month and merge into this spread. I really like this spread because it ends up really colorful at the end of the year, and it's fun to see what I was feeling on that day and time. I always start drawing in pencil for these pages. I can go over what I draw in pen or marker once I'm happy with how they look. This is optional, but if you're like me and want to avoid mistakes, this is a great strategy. After all the yearly spreads are written in, I can start drawing in my monthly and weekly spreads. The months I keep pretty straightforward. I'll be filling them in with my schedule as quick references to flip back through throughout the year. Now that my month pages are written in, I jumped forward a little bit and decided to draw in my first week of my bullet journal. I'll come back and draw the month page in just a minute. I'm using a simple vertical layout for this week. In it, I'll jot down notes about my day, to-do lists, and other important meetings. On the pages after this week, I'll do my normal long-form journaling or any other writing that I need to do. When this week is finished, I'll open to a new blank 2-page spread and draw in the next week. I continue like this throughout the bulk of my book. That way everything is organized in a more or less linear way through time. When I set up a bullet journal, I only draw in the spreads that we've talked about, including only the first week of the new month. This is because I write, list, and journal in between each weekly spread. If I were to fill in all of the weeks like a printed planner, I wouldn't have any room to intersperse writing and lists. This also helps keep me organized, as the writing is next to the weekly spread it was written during. I do date all of my writing, but I feel this method flows nicely. On the first page of the new month, I draw in the name of the month in calligraphy. I also include a small month calendar underneath the name of the month. My cat Abby loves to keep me company when I'm making new spreads and be a little bit in the way. On the page next to it, I draw in a health tracker to help me keep track of my mood and how I'm feeling throughout the month. The mood data will get merged into the year in pencil spread in the beginning of the book, but the rest of the data will stay here. In addition to the pages in the beginning, I like to include a few different pages in the back of my bullet journal. I call them appendices. They're mostly things I refer to regularly or ongoing lists that I merge into each new bullet journal. The first is a series of boxes that I use to write out frustrations or problems I want to let go of. The second is a list of the projects I want to do in the future, organized by crafting type. I have one for sewing, knitting, crochet, and general crafting. After my project wish list is a list of myself and my partner's measures for shopping for clothes, a few pages of gift lists to help me plan for birthdays and holidays, a pen test page so that I can test new pens or refresh my memory on what a pen looks like on this ivory-colored paper. And finally, a journal reflections, which I'll fill in once I finish the book.
And my cat, hey Sweetie. So that is my bullet journal all set up and ready to go. It'll get filled in as I use it throughout the month of November and beyond. Thank you everyone for joining me today for this video. I hope y'all had fun. Until I see you next time, stay safe and stay healthy, and don't forget to love one another. Bye everybody.